Perfect. And we are live. Hello,
Yes.
everyone, and welcome back to another live event with Shaw Scripts. It's been a while since we've been on here, but we are very excited to have Kate Surinska with us today. So I'm going to hand over to Kate just to introduce herself. So, Kate, would you like to tell everyone who you are and
Sure,
what
yeah.
your screenwriting journey is?
Hi, yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Kate Srenska. I was born and raised in Russia, and I moved to the States 10 years ago. And oh, hello. Are we still here? I feel like we were
Yes.
lagging for a sec. Yeah, so I grew up in Russia, and then I moved to the States 10 years ago. I started my journey as an actress in New York. I lived there for 4 years, and then 6 years ago, I moved to LA. And basically, since then, I really started taking writing seriously. Before it was just like, notes here and there, some glimpses of dialogue, even some like little ideas, just exploring screenwriting, but not really feeling like I am one of them.
Yeah.
And then for some reason, I guess in 2020, yeah, right, when we had like basically the lockdown everywhere, I was like, well, let me just go back to all of those ideas and see if I can make scripts from them. And yeah, like I used my time, my lockdown time, basically just to write.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
yeah, and I kind of feel like now I've explored so much of it, and I'm still like learning a lot, but I definitely am not as close like as I was. I feel like before I was just like not not realizing that I can actually write. It's just
Yeah.
obviously it's a lot of work, and you constantly grow as a writer. But
Mhm.
it's like every skill. You just grow and rewrite and develop
Yeah.
yourself and you become better at it.
Yeah. That's amazing though that you like also use that time to like as a creative outlet because I know like a lot of people, you're stuck at home,
Yeah.
and using that as a creative outlet and finding that you actually have, you know, this passion for this as well, and this is what you want to do. That's really, really cool.
Yeah, totally.
Um,
I feel like writing is so therapeutical
yeah,
also. I mean, I always like to just like write in my diary,
yeah,
just as a kid I used to write a diary even then I kind of, stopped it and did it again, and then I read the Artist's Way book and I was like, oh, like they were talking about what I did before, about writing, just writing your thoughts
yes,
and stream of consciousness. And
yeah.
I tried to do it, consistently, but it definitely is very therapeutical, and I think it helps you to also just like reflect on your life and
Yeah.
shape, yourself and your life path.
Exactly, yeah, and also, like, it helps just to get it out, I think sometimes, like, get it
Totally.
out on the page,
Yeah, like
definitely.
free therapy session.
Yes, definitely. Um, and so you also have a background in acting and being sorry, I have my notes here.
Yeah.
You have a background in acting and, first AD. So could you tell us a bit about what the transition was from those roles to screenwriting, and also how that background has influenced working with actors and, like, directing? How has that background influenced that?
Yeah, totally. When I was acting in New York, so purely, I just went to school, graduated the conservatory program, and then like went into the artist life, looking for jobs and trying to build my acting portfolio and stuff. But I always was wondering like how is the set life working? How like people like who are those people, right? Like I was always fascinated by just the magic of making a film, and so I wanted to, yeah, I wanted to explore more of it, and I became a PA. I don't quite remember what was that first job, but it was paid. I remember that. So I just was a production assistant, um, and through that experience, slowly I kind of decided like, okay, it feels like an AD is basically an extension of the director. I wonder what is this role. So I tapped into that, just researched, online, asked people that I know, and it was just one of those, experiences like, do you need an AD? And they said yes, and I became
Oh,
one,
nice.
and build again my portfolio through like experience and through
Yeah.
working. And I still actually do that too. And I feel like it really taught me about not just overall about how the set works, like every person's role, what they do, right, and how important it is, but also it taught me the time management and the
Yeah.
workflow being on set. And for as a director also, I feel like that helped me to plan shots in a certain way
Mm.
and be more efficient and trying to be reasonable with time. And like
Yeah.
I try not to spend extra time for like, oh, just for
Yeah.
let's do it for safety. Like if I feel like the take is perfect, then I'm like, okay, good, like let's
Okay.
go on,
Yeah.
right? Because it just adds up. And I noticed that on
Yeah.
sets too, just observing other directors, because they're like, let's do it one more time, but it's like 2 minutes
Mhm.
here, 2 minutes there,
Yeah.
like, and then you're losing an hour.
Yeah, and that's
uh,
super important, I think, to have as a skill, that time management as one, to understand that on a set.
Totally, yeah, because I mean, we always, well, most of us, right? We start small. We start
Mhm.
from short films, and hopefully, eventually, we're making our feature films. But it's still not studio level yet, right? So you're not gonna have that, 5-second ads, and like 10,000 like production
Yeah,
assistants. You're just gonna have to use the resources that you have. And I
yeah,
think that it just comes down to your skill set and how you can manage that time, because it will be limited. And like no one will tell you that, like, oh yeah, we had plenty of time, and like
mhm.
we like left earlier. Sometimes, yeah, maybe some sets are like that, but it's usually
Yeah.
like commercials or something.
Yes, yeah,
So yeah,
yeah,
and you ask about the screenwriting. So from there,
yeah,
well, I don't know. I don't know how those transition specifically to screenwriting. I guess maybe because like acting, I think probably because I've obviously read a lot of plays, read a lot of
mhm,
scripts, but and I understand the dialogue. I feel like because of, again, acting, and just
mhm.
you kind of, as an actor, you realize what is the bad script and like what's good script when
Yeah,
you get that material, and you realize like, okay, how, like, you learn how to separate good from bad,
that, yeah,
and you try to shape your dialogue in that way, in a good way. So I feel the acting experience definitely helped me with
okay,
that. AD not so much, because it's mostly just it's project to project, and it's based
yeah,
on, you're like have to work with a certain project on the spot, or have like limited prep, and then you just dive
yeah,
into it. But yeah, screenwriting, I think it's helpful to kind of, even if you are just doing screenwriting only, I feel like it's important to maybe go to an acting class and check it out and see
yeah,
how the actors behave, how they talk, what they're looking for in the scripts. Um, and it's also important to, I think, go out and, I don't know, just be a PA for one day and just see how it all works. Because I think
yeah,
anyone can benefit, and you can know when an actor, for instance, never like been in those shoes, because they,
yeah,
usually people um, who at least worked a bit in production, they know what it takes for those people to make the film,
yeah.
so they're more understanding, more like compassionate.
Yeah, yeah, no, exactly. But that experience is vital. Like, definitely, it's vital experience to have, because also when you're directing and you're dealing with actors, and you know how to approach them, and how to ask them to do things, because you've been put in those situations before as well. So I think having
Hmm.
some of that experience firsthand is like extremely, extremely important, and it's nice to, I think, understand everyone's role. I
Yeah,
think it's, yeah, because you can be more careful around, like, where you are in your role and how it works with other roles. So I definitely think that's
right.
important. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Be passionate. I
Okay.
feel like be passionate about films in
Yes,
general.
yes, I love that. Yeah, definitely, and it's cool that you experienced, like, a couple of roles on sets now. So, talking about your films now,
Mhm.
so Parallels received numerous awards and screenings at festivals. So, could you discuss the inspiration behind that film and any challenges that you faced during the production, and as well as how the success of Parallels has shaped or shaped your career going forward?
Yeah, absolutely. It will be kind of like a little bit of a long explanation, but it will cover probably some of your
Yeah.
other questions. So again, back to 2020, when I decided to repolish my future script
Mhm.
ideas, I started with this one with the horror thriller titled
Yeah.
Domovina, which means in Slavic means "heart of death," and it's based on Russian fairy tales. It was kind of an inspiration from Shutter Island and the blending those two genres, the fairy tales and horror thriller. Uh, so I wrote that, during the pandemic. I like rewrote it multiple times, submitted to contests, got in placed, and rewrote again. I'm still probably going to rewrite again
Yeah.
some parts of it. But that time I was like, well, I don't quite want to just sell the script. I would love to actually make it myself because I feel like I'm Russian and I grew up in those
Yeah.
on the folklore and the fairy tales, and also the main character is female, and I just feel like I'm kind of bringing a lot of me to that character. So I was like, I don't want to really just to give it away and not be happy with the results after. So, but obviously, no one's gonna just come to your doorstep and give you like a
Yeah.
million plus to make this feature. So I was like, well, maybe I should just put something in my directing portfolio first.
Yeah.
And then I got stuck because I've like I never, I don't know, I just never thought that I can write short scripts. I always was like,
Mhm.
well, I don't know, I'm just too broad and like whatever. But to be honest, like that was the like I'm so glad that I did because now it taught me so much, and
Mhm.
I became actually way better at writing short scripts now from that experience.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I created Parallels because I wanted to write something about my mom. My mom passed away when I was 16,
Mhm.
and her mom passed when she was 16, and that
Oh, wow.
was basically our like that was the bond for the script because before
Yeah.
I was feeling like, well, this is a biopic basically, writing
Mhm.
someone's life, and put it in a short film, like hell
Yeah.
no, like she's not someone famous, right? Like nobody would care, like. So then one day I just realized, like, wait, but there's some parallels in our lives, like literally parallels, and that's how the
Carlos,
name
yeah.
came alive. And I started like seeing it, like, oh, like I can actually write it from also my perspective, not just
Yeah.
hers, but how it is being, how I was growing up during those times, and dreaming about like big things, dreaming about arts, and graduating high school, and
Yeah.
then basically facing the tragedy of it.
Yeah.
And I found that, those are kind of universal themes. I mean, I honestly, at first, I just did it basically for myself. I was like, I kind of want to just let it all out, put
Yeah.
this story together, and hopefully someone can like it.
Yeah.
And it happened, people would tell me afterwards, like, oh, I have something similar, going, in my life, well, I've lost like my dad, or, you know, obviously, like, there are a lot of people who could relate.
Yeah.
So that was basically my long answer to, how Parallels was born. It was like tapping into something. Originally, I did not even think that it's going to happen. It just like
Yeah.
it sparked out of this idea of like, oh, now I can actually see it in my head how I
Yeah.
can make the film. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
That's actually out of like, because it's obviously out of that sadness is such like it's a beautiful, that you found that bond. That's really beautiful.
thank you. Yeah,
Yeah. It's really
it,
beautiful.
I really am, yeah, happy that it just like all came together, and I found so many people supporting me. I mean, obviously they saw my pitch, they saw the idea, but at the same time, it's not something like, I don't know, an action film or something entertaining or
Yeah.
something like I don't know, some kind of horror thriller, whatever. It's just personal drama story.
Yeah.
But I guess I don't know, people like me enough to help out with it. So
And I also think that it's your voice, like your unique story that's going into it. And I think people like that. It makes you a lot more relatable, and it makes the story a lot more, like you said, there were people that were relating to it. And I think even people that can't relate to it can relate to it in some way. So I definitely think that's also, it's the relatability factor, because you put unique voice into the story, which is that's yeah, it's
Yeah,
something that I
thank you.
think I think a lot more films these days need to have that in it. I
Mhm.
think we're losing that a lot, and a lot of films are trying to commercialize so they can sell and like keep up with the big studios and stuff, which that does that does work,
Right.
but we need more of like the stories like yours, that's like a unique voice. And even with Dom, I just want to say the name right, Domavina,
Yeah,
um,
you're correct.
with that film, that's it's cool because it's something from your heritage, from like your cultural background. So like we're getting a
Right.
little insight into you as well as the writer, which
Yeah.
is yeah, it's
And I'm
amazing.
putting
I
a
love that.
dramatic element in it too, because I found, thankfully now it's kind of changing. I'm seeing it. Before I wasn't really like a fan of horror films, to be honest. I just
Yeah,
like start doing my
yeah,
research on it, right? And now I see like, okay, I finally can see that there is shift in horror films that, they want to put some humanity in those characters, right? And
yes,
that's what I originally also wrote. I was like, I don't want to write something just for the sake of like whatever
mhm,
horror stuff, like blood and gore and whatever, but I wanted
yeah,
to be like more psychological and
yeah,
more, yeah, with having that dramatic element. So
yeah,
even now, when I say, when I talk about the script to someone, I say that, hey, well, yeah, I didn't make any horror films yet, but I have this dramatic film that I did, and there is a big core of drama just in this horror script as well. So I can definitely, as a director, I can definitely translate that.
yeah. And I mean, for me personally, I don't do the blood and gore horrors. I definitely I'm not really into those. But the psychological ones, the ones that actually like at the end of it, you actually sometimes when you relate to the characters that you shouldn't be relating to, you get that moment where you're like,
Uh-huh.
"Am I okay?" So it's those are the ones that challenge as well, like your intellect, and you have to actually think. Those are the ones I like as well.
Yeah, nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we need more of those. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
definitely. I mean, like, for instance, like Gone Girl, for example, is one of
Mhm.
like my.
Mhm.
So I read the
Yeah.
book as well, and Gillian Flynn's one of
Mm.
my favorite authors because she puts a lot of
Yeah.
all her stuff is psychological. And yeah, that film for me was I could relate
Nice.
to both the characters, which was yeah,
Yeah,
you
no,
have
I
to
love
really
Gone
think
Girl
that
too. Yeah, it's one of my
yeah.
best thrillers for sure. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So I think you actually answered one of the next questions kind of with
Yeah.
the Domavina script. You gave us a glimpse into the story. If you could just expand on the folklore, the tale, I would like to hear more about that.
Sure. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so the Movina is a story about a female psychiatric resident, Valencia, who is forced to complete the last weeks of her residency at this private halfway house, where she meets this Prince Charming lookalike physician, but she discovers that she's the missing piece in this lunatic's twisted fairy tale. So it's like basically it's close to like Shutter Island in terms of
Yes. Yeah.
she gets somewhere, she can't like kind of leave yet, and
Yeah.
then she just discovers like some weird creatures there. Who are they? Like I mean, obviously she worked in psychiatry, like there are some you know crazy people everywhere,
Yeah.
right? But this is something else. There's some kind of different mystery going on there. And so that's her journey of like discovering what it is, and then she realizes like, oh my god, she's one of the
Yeah.
she's the also the person that he was missing. It's kind of like came from the blend of those fairy tales called Basilisa the Beautiful.
Mhm.
um, there are quite a few fairy tales
Yeah.
that just became the inspiration for those characters. I
Yeah.
combined their traits, made them into those traits, translated those traits into those people, so they sort of look like them, behave
Yeah.
in that certain way, and yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to tap into something like again that idea was like from probably 2018.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we had some like I think the witch probably was already alive at that time, and maybe but Gretel
Yes.
and Hansel I think came out later. I feel like, but basically, yeah, it just was something for me like, oh, it would be cool to combine the two, like the
Yeah.
fairy tales that we know, sort of kids' stories, right? But they're actually not. a lot of them are not very really like for kids, right?
Yes.
They're kind of
I was
creepy.
about to say, I was about to say, like, this is a kid's story.
Yeah, but they're really weird. They're really creepy, and so I was like, "Whoa, this could be like an interesting,
Yeah.
yeah, to tap into horror with those ideas."
Yeah, I like that spin on it though, because you get like, your Snow Whites and stuff, but to
Mhm.
tap into the darker fairy tales, because like a lot
Yeah.
of, cultures and stuff have and traditions and people have those darker folklore stories and stuff. I
Mhm.
mean, in South Africa we have a lot of that, like there's sangomas and like there's all
Mm,
sorts here. So I mean it's extremely interesting to tap into
definitely.
those. Yeah. That's very
Mhm.
interesting. I like that. I'm
Thank you.
definitely after this gonna go and do some more research on that one. I
I
like
think, yeah,
that.
that's actually my hope. I mean, obviously, it's going to be more of an entertaining thrill.
Yeah.
Even though, yeah, there's some dramatic aspects that I kind of want to tap on into, and but overall, I want like people to be like, "Oh my god, this was kind of weird and spooky," and like, what are
Yeah.
those fairy tales about? And just like people googling like Russian fairy tales, what are they
I'm literally gonna go do
about?
that after this. I'm gonna go sit and do that.
Yeah, they're
So
really cool. Those characters are really creepy. They're really interesting.
yeah. Oh,
And I'm just upset that constantly John Wick with his Baba Yaga. Like,
yeah.
I'm sure like a lot of people also can relate. I've seen like some of my American friends, and they're like, "What the
Yeah.
hell like is this?" But uh, they made it work for them. But this is not true.
Yeah.
This is not true Baba Yaga here.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm gonna definitely do a lot of research on this now because, like you said, there are quite a few stories, so I can definitely get lost, I think, and delve into a couple of them. Some late night reading.
Nice.
So, um, as a bi-coastal Russian-born artist, we're obviously talking about your cultural background. So,
Mm-hmm.
do you find that your cultural background influences a lot of your storytelling? I know with these two stories now, they obviously have, but in any other scripts that you've written or anything else that you're working on or have worked on, does it influence the themes? Do you want to draw a lot from, your background?
Yeah, I feel like I'm drawing from not necessarily, my Russian background, but just from life, from everyday life, from people that I meet, from interactions that I have with people, from my own experience, my own like reflection on certain themes. So yeah, I tend to put, a good amount of if there is any kind of dramatic element in it, it's probably something from taken from how I perceive that subject. So I do take it from, yeah, from just life and observing life. uh, Partially, I guess, also, being an actor, you kind of tend to do that for your work. And but for writing, I found it like really helpful, but because you can always do so much research, but
Yeah,
on an emotional level, it's hard to like read about something and then just like, oh well, I guess they felt this way, so it
yeah,
just doesn't translate the same. So I feel like it's okay, it's, yeah, there's some probably writers that just like take it from the outer world, I don't know, some kind of um, whatever cosmic experience, and they just feel like, okay, this is just coming from my imagination only, and that's fine. But I do feel like when I see some films, I kind of feel like, oh, this probably was a personal story in a way, and
yeah,
again, we don't know how much was it of their life, right? But there was something that connected emotionally me to that story. So when I see those films, I'm like, oh, nice. Like they were brave enough to just kind of showcase that part of them. And I feel like it's
yeah,
I feel like it's actually kind of cool, being vulnerable enough, and being able
yeah,
to open your heart, because not a lot of people do that. And it's I think it's important to be honest as an artist,
yeah,
and you show something of yourself, but then a lot of people will relate to it because
yeah.
maybe they're silent about it, but they think about that too.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that that the audience definitely can feel when it isn't, relatable, or if it isn't honest. Like you said, like people will look at something and go, "Oh, I think I can make this into something." But I mean, if you don't have any, like you said, the research is only so much. You can only sit and explore to the internet, chat to so many people, but to actually have experienced it and be in that, the audience can definitely tell. I mean, like I'm sure you can tell when you're watching a movie,
Yeah.
and you kind of, I don't know, it's not, you won't remember that film, like, later on. It,
Mm-hmm.
it won't, it doesn't
Yeah.
resonate with you. I think it's that it doesn't resonate with you. So yeah, it's definitely important to put your voice
Yeah, I
in.
feel
So
like, any work should move people. Any work,
mm,
yeah, like even the horror films. Like I said, that's why I like when they actually make those characters human and make them more interesting, more dimensional than just one dimensional. Um, and also, actually, I just thought about, like, from the practical side of it. You're spending, if you're for the long haul into screenwriting or making films, you will have to be just with the script for a year at least.
mhm,
Because it will be, even if you're writing fast, there still will be rewrites. Somebody gives you notes. So you will be at least stuck with this idea for a year, and if you're not passionate about it enough, then you'll just give it up, and maybe after like second draft you're like, oh, I'm over it, I'm done.
yeah. Well, I mean, you
And
were talking about rewrites just now. You were saying I'm
yeah.
probably going to rewrite again. So there
Yeah.
you go.
Good. Yes, definitely. Yeah, there's always like, obviously, you can never like achieve perfection in a sense, right? But
Mm,
then, but you gain just perspectives. You gain more. You become more knowledgeable yourself, and then you meet people who would read your script and they give you notes, and you're like, oh wait, maybe they're right about something. I personally don't feel like you should just take everyone's notes and like, okay, I gotta rewrite everything because of X, Y, and Z. They said this. But if you feel like, okay, this was kind of right, maybe I could explore more on this subject, or maybe I should just rewrite this part of dialogue. Then I would definitely incorporate those and do a rewrite. Because if it's like completely butchering your idea and and you feel like they
yeah,
don't understand what you mean, then there's no point. But if they got you and they liked this idea, they just try to
yeah.
help you to develop it better, then totally use that feedback.
Yeah, that's very important. Thank you actually for mentioning that, because like one of the things that I'm also trying to put out there for a lot of writers and aspiring writers, is to how to handle the feedback.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's extremely important, and we it's something that I'm pushing at the moment. It's
Mm-hmm.
very important to be able to handle that feedback, and obviously there might be feedback that sometimes it just isn't good feedback, but like you've got to take everything that you get and then
Yeah.
use it to your advantage. So how do you handle feedback, just out of interest? How do you handle feedback when you go into
For
a pitch?
writing, I actually handle it really well, in terms of, like, I don't know, because maybe I never put so much pressure on writing for myself. I never was like, since like 5 years old, I'm going to be a writer. And looking back, I actually realized, well, I was really good at literature. Actually, I was writing those essays pretty good. It was kind of sort of almost easy to me, just like remember every exam. I'd be like, they'd say, give you some sort of subject, and I'm like sitting for 20 minutes there, just like, oh my god, like I like thinking about it, and then like within 5 minutes, just scribbling and like finishing
Yeah,
it all, right? So and I always got like Ace for that. But it wasn't until I never still thought of myself as a writer, and especially
yeah,
in English, because I'm an immigrant. So I was like, probably not for me. But then, out of just necessity of pouring, the heart out, of those therapy sessions, and then
yeah,
ideas that I got, just like, well, those are like cool ideas. Maybe I should just do something with them, right?
yeah,
So because maybe I never put so much pressure on myself in that subject,
yeah,
uh, I take it as just like, oh, cool, okay, I got some insight from someone. I also tried not to. I feel like a good advice would be not to just rely on one feedback. So like send it to 5 people, right? And if you find, okay, there's a common note about something, that's probably something you definitely have to pay attention. Because if five people say this is too long, you gotta like shorten the script, or some themes don't come through or whatever, then
Yeah.
totally use that, because I mean, there are people out there you're sending it to,
Hmm.
in the studios, or those assistants who they will be reading it and feeling the same way. So I think it's all a journey, and even if you are taking it seriously, from 5 years old I was always thinking I'm a writer and I'm gonna do this, and that's great.
Yeah.
Don't put too much pressure on yourself, that it brings you down,
And
because
yeah.
once you're out of, like, it's just important to be in the momentum always,
Yeah.
getting out of bed, getting to your desk, like writing
Yeah.
for a certain amount of hours, the consistency, that's in the end what's going to pay off.
I
Um,
also feel like I think it would take the passion out. Like putting too much pressure on yourself takes that passion out of it.
right.
It becomes more a task,
Hmm.
than like a project, or like your passion project. So yeah, that's definitely some good feedback there.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean, and nowadays it's always about like, it's never just the artist and then the business. It's like both nowadays, unfortunately. But you
Yeah.
gotta like find the ways that cheer you up, and I
Mhm.
don't know. I like to walk, if I feel like I'm, like, when I was writing, like, every day, just like finishing that first draft, I would be
Mhm.
writing, like, say, for like 6 hours, like nonstop, and then I would just go on long walks, maybe got like more ideas about something, just sort of do whatever it takes you to be happy within
Yeah.
this writing journey, and
Yeah.
within the writing too, because you don't want to be like frustrated with it.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think that will translate into the writing then.
Right.
And then I definitely think there'll be more rewrites then, because like the
Yeah.
frustration, you'll never be happy with it. There'll just be constant changes. So I definitely think that. I also think life there's a lot going on. I think taking that pressure off slightly,
Hmm.
it'll creatively will do everyone the world of good.
Yeah, setting
We'll be
like
more
reasonable
creative.
deadlines too,
Yep.
because
Yeah.
we all want to finish it fast, and like the first draft, let's go, shoot it
Yeah.
tomorrow. But I've actually worked on some sets like that, were pretty much maybe their second draft and it's not good. Now
Oh wow.
I feel like you kind of, I mean, it might be great for them, but like I
But
don't know that,
yeah.
I don't think those films are gonna go anywhere because it's
So
just
yeah.
not great. So
Yeah.
even if you feel like this is like your final draft, I always feel like there has to be some time to just let it go, leave it for like a month or two, and then come back to it, read it again, and see how you feel about it now. Is it really ready? Because I remember, like, yeah, there's some from my first draft. There are some certain parts like that I still have there, but then
Yeah.
looking back, I'm like, oh, I know this scene was kind of rushed here because I like had no idea like what to do with this,
Um,
or I just put it there because like to fill the space, right?
yeah.
And then I now I rewrote it and all that, and I'm like, okay, it's great that I stayed consistent there because now
Yeah.
it's much better than it was before. And if tomorrow they say like, hey, this is your million plus dollars, let's go shoot it, I'll be like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. Maybe I'll sit again for like a day or two
Yeah.
and polish it, but at least I won't regret that. Like, oh, this scene is just like a filler. It's not working.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. But talking about that $1 million, raising, we all know raising funds for films
Yeah.
can be quite challenging. So what are your strategies, tips? How have you found? Because you obviously you're still raising funds at the moment
Hmm.
for the project, yeah. So
Yeah,
how
totally.
has that journey been going? Tell me a bit about that.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I wish I knew all the answers, to be honest. But I'm gonna just,
Yeah,
yeah, use like what I have, what worked for me, right? If on a short film level, and it's a little bit easier. Still, obviously, a lot more. Like, still challenging because it depends on like what your script needs. What it might be the funds going to a location. It might be funds going to, I don't know, stunt coordinator or something. It depends what genre, right, you want to do. So there's always not going to be like a specific blueprint, but um, for my script, I wanted to tackle on crowdfunding. Well, first of all, I did not really have money to do that, but like also wanted to see how I've never done something like this. The marketing aspect was kind of frightening for a second because it
Hmm.
was just something that yeah, I didn't know how, like, will I be able to raise this amount? I set a $10,000 goal, and there was, they give you a certain amount of time, like 30 days or 40 days, and I think I picked 30. But you're just like you're feeling a bit on the edge because you're like, I
Yeah,
don't know. Like, I mean, I have like people, I have like friends and colleagues, but like, why would they
yeah,
care about just like my film? Why would they care to help me? But I don't know. I just had like this dedication and just
mhm,
was like, no, I'm gonna do it anyway. It's scary, but I'm gonna do it.
yeah,
I'm gonna go and ask for money from people. I'm gonna ask for their contribution because I'm planning to make a great film. I'm not planning
yeah,
to do something just like in my backyard. And I think that people will relate to the subject.
yeah,
So I just had this belief in myself, I guess, at the end of the day. And I wanted to do that, set up the campaign, and I raised the funds, and it was a lot of work, but I'm not going to lie, like every day was just like constantly, marketing and thanking people who contributed and just giving all
mhm,
those like
yeah,
little things. For me, it was uh, for like I did like a Photoshop of all of those contributors with
yes,
any like Soviet pictures. And
yes,
it was a kind of like a fun little thing, just like your face and like instead of a face of
yes,
I don't know some pioneer or some famous painting or whatever.
yes.
So and I was just like doing it myself,
Oh,
and
that's awesome.
it was yeah. Actually, by the end of it, I was pretty good at it. By the end of it,
Yeah,
so
well, that should also help you, like, on the marketing side of things,
yeah.
just, like, help you tap into that a bit more.
Yeah, no, I think yeah,
Yeah.
it's obviously scary for a lot of people, but I think you should not skimp on it. I see a lot of
Mhm.
films being raised like, well, hey, there's the link, like go and help. Um, and I did not want to do this approach. I researched a lot on it and saw a lot of courses and stuff, free actually, but there's a lot of information about it out there. But I wanted to approach it from a professional standpoint. That hey,
Mhm.
guys, I know you know me, this is my story, this is my
Yeah,
pitch, this is what I'm going to do, this is how I'm planning to do, like I'm actually committing and doing it.
yeah,
And because I guess I've built enough of a network within my production people community, people
mhm,
who knew me being responsible and actually making things done,
mhm,
maybe that also helped their decision. um, but so that said, with short films, I think it's doable even on a smaller budget than that. I just recently finished I co-wrote a project and ended up co-directing the short
mhm.
film. It was a really tight budget, like, but I found great people to collaborate with because you never know. Sometimes someone like the DP wanted it for his reel. Even though he's
Yeah,
a great DP, but he just was like, I kind of want more fiction in my reel. And we
okay.
liked each other before, and we kind of wanted to work together. So you will find your people,
Yeah,
but I still tend to just like you know I mean, at the end of the day, I do want to pay people, and I want
mhm,
to, I feel like it's not great when they're just like nothing paid, just passion project, nothing paid. Like, well, just maybe work a little bit. Like, just we all understand that it's hard to
mhm.
be an artist and make films, but
Yeah,
if you want to do something of your own, just be respectful to people, and just offer them something, right? It could
yeah,
be even a barter of some sort. I don't know. Maybe you're good at taking pictures and you can give them their headshots
mhm,
or something. I don't know.
yeah,
But find a way to be respectful to people.
yeah,
But back to like feature side, it's tricky. I'm still trying to figure it out.
yeah,
What I'm doing is I'm going to festivals and
mhm,
I'm meeting different kinds of people. Just like for it could be from producers to distributors, but I talk to people about me and about the projects and just hope that they can give me they'll read my script. I mean, they always give the context, but it doesn't matter. Sometimes they just don't respond. And you have to
yeah,
constantly like follow up. So it's a bit tricky, definitely journey, because it takes a lot of your time that you could put, say, into writing, right?
Yeah,
But it now is just the way it is, and I try not to be like stuck on the, oh well, like this is like so bad, like the way it is, like just how you go to, like, sometimes like those parties, and like there are some negative crowds that just like gonna,
yeah,
excuse my language, bitch about something.
yes,
But it's like it is what it is. Not, you can't
yes,
change
yeah,
it. So for
yeah,
me, I approach it as an idea, I guess. Like, this is the problem. We gotta
yeah.
find a solution. Like,
There you go,
there's,
problem solving.
yeah, problem solving. That's it. Like, there's nothing you can do about it. So yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I'm kind of like trying to network with people,
Mhm.
find a way. Yeah, like, what do you need? What are you working on, right? And um, but I always try to come from. I think this is kind of important, because I don't like when, and I'm sure nobody likes when, say you're at a networking event and somebody comes to you and right away starts pitching something without,
Mm.
like, or just barely knowing your name, not even probably remembering. Like,
Yeah,
this is like my pet peeve, when people don't remember names. But I just try to um, come from the place of security, from a
yeah,
place of confidence, and power, in a way of, I have something to offer. Yeah, I have skills, and I've put a lot of work into something, right? And I feel like these are great ideas. And if it's not for you, that's okay. There are a million of other people, and I'll find a way. It's just a matter of time.
yeah.
So I think that, getting rid of that desperation, that's
Mhm.
huge. And especially those networking events, people can sense that right off the
Yeah,
bat. So if you want to connect with people, really, that's I think way more powerful than just going and pitching into the blue. Because yes, some events are obviously for that. There's a reason
yeah,
for that. They're like, this is a pitching networking event. We're giving you 5-6 minutes. Yeah,
mhm.
learn that skill, do it. But if you're, say, going to film festivals, it's not quite about that. It's more about, yeah, connecting to fellow artists, connecting to maybe some gatekeepers, whoever is invited there as a guest speaker. Maybe just connect with them on a human level. Find
Yeah,
what are they about, because maybe you don't even need them. You'll find out, like, oh
yeah,
well, they're working on something that is not related to my project, or it's not related to what I want to do, or there's so many reasons.
yeah.
So for me, it's important to find like the right people to work with, and I'm approaching it this way.
But yeah, that's, I mean, I think it's, you said you got to find your people. I always say you find your tribe, and
Mhm.
then, like, that's those are your people.
Totally.
And yeah, and I also, I think it's important to, like, even if you can't work with the person now on a project right now, and like
Hmm.
networking with them, and later on you might think, oh my word, actually I know someone,
Yeah,
and then it jumps back to an event like 3 weeks or 3 months ago, or 3 years ago.
exactly.
So it's
Yeah.
very important to continue networking with everyone, no matter whether you can get something out of them or not.
Hmm.
You want to grow your community. You want to. We all. It's a collaborative. Filmmaking
Yeah,
is a collaborative. It's a community. We all work together. So
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's a very good approach. Very
And
good
at the end of the
approach.
day, people like to work with people they like to work with.
Yeah.
So, I've there were so many examples when I met like people at the networking events, and um I'm like, okay, cool, you're like composer, great. I have nothing going on right now. But then like 2 months later, didn't plan on making a short film, and I did it, and I'm like, oh well, let me hear your work, just kind of going back to
Yeah.
that folder, and like, where are those people, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, and same with DPs. Oh, I have
Mhm.
like, I kind of try to keep nowadays, just because of the amount of people I'm meeting, spreadsheets, just to like remember who, what. And I mean, I always try to remember people for like something
Yeah.
else. If I feel like they're good at what they do and they're passionate about their work, like, totally, like,
Yeah.
there will be an opportunity for sure. So I feel
Yeah.
like same thing with those producers. I don't know, whoever's, they kind of, they will keep it in mind eventually. You just, they're
Yeah.
very busy people, obviously, and because we know producers don't get paid up front most of the time. So
Mhm.
they're, they are also struggling in their own way.
Yeah,
So, obviously, independent producers, I can't speak for studios, but like the
but
independent
yeah,
producers are all like us, they're
the
just
freelancers, yeah,
yeah, hustling for new stories,
yeah,
hustling for getting the money. Like, oh, it's such
yeah.
a crazy job. Yeah.
The
So
hustle, I think, never doesn't stop. The
no,
hustle, it just, yeah,
no,
doesn't stop.
no.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's like finding the producer also is like, it's a, I always compare it to marriage, because it is, in a
Mm,
way, you'll be with that person for the next two at
yeah,
least years, maybe more. Like, you never know.
yeah,
Like, sometimes it's quick, sometimes you can raise the money fast, sometimes not. So
yeah,
and you gotta like that person. You don't want to be with
yeah.
someone who can just like kind of open doors for you. You also need to like them personally.
Person, exactly. Yeah, you can't just tolerate them. Like you actually have to want to be
Yeah.
there with them and work with them.
Yeah.
So yeah. Well, we don't have any questions from anyone at the moment, but if anyone would like to ask a question, they can email me, or do you have a
Mhm.
website or anywhere that people can contact you or
Totally. Yeah.
yeah.
Probably the best place to contact me would be Instagram. Actually,
Mhm.
it's my first and last name, Kate Sorenska. Or yeah, I have a website. I'm not sure if there's a contact page there per se, but you can always check my work there. It's iamkatemedia.net.
I'll drop everything in. I'm gonna do a post after this as well,
Yeah,
just about our interview. So I'll just let
totally.
everyone know on there as well. I'll put the links in and everything.
Yeah, and I'm in LA, so if anyone wants to collaborate on something, say you have a short script you want to produce, so I can always help, direct or rewrite or something. Yeah, anything. I always love meeting new people and collaborate.
That could be really cool. Well, I actually have one last question. It's
Yeah.
not related to screenwriting at all. So I love learning languages.
Hmm.
So would you be able to tell me how to say it was nice to meet or it's nice to meet you
Nice.
in your first language, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Было приятно
Было
познакомиться.
приятно.
Ага.
Было приятно
Познакомиться.
познакомиться.
Oh
Было
yeah,
приятно
you're natural at this.
познакомиться.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, there we go.
totally.
It was nice to meet you. Thank you.
It was nice to
I
meet
love
you too.
learning languages, so I really just wanted to just throw that in at the
Nice.
end.
You're really good at it.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we must definitely. I will definitely reach out to you as well to chat to you about your projects
Mhm.
and stuff. Just from my end, just to understand more about you as a screenwriter, because it sounds very like the folklore stuff and everything sounds very interesting. So if anybody else would like to reach out, I will drop
Yeah.
that. I'll drop that in here. And if you guys did miss the live, we will be posting it again into our Facebook group. And I believe, Kate, I think you want to also do.
Mhm.
You can post it on your profiles as well.
Totally.
And yeah, if you missed it, then you guys can check it there. And thank you
Yeah.
so much
Thank you for
for
this.
doing
Yeah.
this. Thank you. It was really
Yeah.
cool chatting to you.
Nice meeting you. Было приятно познакомиться, Janet.
There you go. Well, so nice to meet you. My first language is English, but I'm learning Portuguese, so I can
Oh,
tell you, I
yeah,
can
yeah,
say,
please.
prazer em conhecer. So that is nice to meet you in
Prazer em
Portuguese.
conhecer. Yeah.
Prazer em conhecer.
Prazer em conhecer.
Yeah, prazer em
Okay.
conhecer. Yeah.
Wow.
There
Wow.
we go.
That's
There
really
we go.
cool. Also
Yeah.
a hard language. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It's quite a difficult language because they're different dialects as well. So it's like the
Hmm.
Brazilian Portuguese, and yeah, there's a whole bunch.
Wow. Wow. That's
Yeah,
really
but it's
cool.
really cool,
Yeah.
yeah. But also, it was so nice chatting to you, and I hope you have a good
Likewise.
rest of your day, everyone else, your evening, wherever you are in the world, and we will chat
Thank
to you
you.
again
Thank you
soon,
so
Kate.
much. Yes, and keep
Thank
writing, keep creating, keep acting, keep doing whatever makes you feel alive.
yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Bye.
Bye.